Hey guys, welcome to my channel. I go by Hiram or Bogwa. Hey guys, welcome to another video on object-oriented programming in Java. And today we'll be covering the topic of abstraction. So abstraction is another fundamental concept in object-oriented design, whereby an abstract class defines a method signature without defining the body of the method. The implementation of the body is left to the subclass. And with that, we'll go ahead and look at a code example. So today I'll be building on top of the program that I built on the inheritance video. If you haven't seen the video on inheritance, go watch that first and then come back to this. So basically what we saw with the inheritance is we have this superclass, and in this instance I created this user object, and then I have what are my subclasses: teacher, student, and admin. And as we saw with inheritance, they extend that user class. We're going to convert this user class to be an abstract class. And with that, I'll go ahead and convert this class. Okay, and there it is. Public abstract class user. And that turns this class into an abstract class. So now what's the difference between an abstract class and a regular class? Well, let's first see. So in here in my app runner class, I'll define a new user. You can't instantiate an abstract class. So let's see what happens whenever I remove that abstract. As you can see, the instantiation works. So one difference between an abstract class and a regular class is an abstract class cannot be instantiated. So I'll go ahead and clear this. So an abstract class cannot be instantiated. Something else that an abstract class allows us to do is define a method without a body and letting the subclasses define the body of that method. And with that, I'll go ahead and define one. Now, as you can see here, I've defined this abstract method, and the difference between this methods and this one is that this one does not have a body. So I'll go to my subclasses now and implement that method. And as you can see, there's an error here because I need to implement that method. It forces the subclasses to implement that method. There it is. As you can see, the superclass forces the subclasses to implement that method. And here we have this override annotation, at override annotation. Then that just says that this class is implementing the method for the superclass. And with that, I'll go ahead and implement the printing of that data inside each one of these subclasses. So now in my app runner class, I can just call that print method. And in here, let's just add another statement right above. So now what we've done is we've defined this abstract method that has forced all classes that extend this class to add the implementation of this method. Now the power of that is that it allows each subclass to have its own unique implementation of the same method. So with that, I'll go ahead and run this class to see the output that we get. And as you can see here at the bottom, we have our student data, we have our teacher data, and we have our admin data. Now something to note is here we're printing the same redundant data in each one of these classes. Anytime you're coding and then you see that you have the same code implemented in multiple places, think about centralizing that code to make it simpler. But of course, it always has to make sense. So I'll go ahead and move the printing of this user data to its own method. So one thing that I'll do is I'll make this method protected. So the protected access modifier states that this method can only be called by the same class. So I can call in a different method in the same class or the subclasses of the same package. So I'll go ahead and extrapolate that data. You can call this dot print user data. Since we extend this class, this also inherits, all of its properties and methods. That's what inheritance does for us. Do the same for the student. Do the same for the admin. And as you can see, our code is nice and clean now. And I'll go ahead and run our class. And as you can see, still prints it out. So that's the basics of abstraction. We define an abstract class by having that abstract keyword. So public abstract class user. And what that means is we cannot instantiate this user class, but it allows us to have this abstract method, which the implementation of it is left to the subclasses. And note the syntax of the abstract method. It's public abstract. So the return type here, it's void, and then the method name. But at the end of the method, we have a semicolon instead of having the method body. And with that, I'll end it here and see you next time. Thank you for watching my tutorials. Give it a thumbs up if you like it and subscribe if you haven't. And also check me out on Instagram at coderush.io.